I'm Angie, and you're watching Dante's Vaccination.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So Virgil Ortiz, he just fought this past weekend against a nobody by the name of McKinson with 2 knockouts on his record. And McKinson was able to take Virgil Ortiz to the 9th round. That was the very first time in Virgil Ortiz's pro career that he had been taken to the 9th round. Now, once again, remember, this guy only had 2 knockout wins on his record, not to mention he's very slow in the ring. But Virgil, he definitely delivered. He got the knockout in the 9th round. So the question is, where does Virgil Ortiz go from now? And it's really a rhetorical question because there's only one place to go but up. And when I say up, I mean a title shot. But if you listen to Dazn's Sergio Mora, he clearly feels that Virgil Ortiz is not on the Terence Crawford level, because this is what he said when he was asked about a potential fight with these two.
What I think makes no difference, but to answer your question, I would say stay away right now. There's so much money to make. He's packing the crowd. He's becoming an attraction here in Texas. Soak that up. That's how you build a star. And this kid has the power. He has the following. He has the team to be a star.
God,
what's the rush?
You are the absolute worst. You know that? Because in 4 years working together, I don't think you've ever said you want to see a big fight.
And that's why I'm still here, because longevity means more than the big fights at that time. He's 24 years old. He has a lot of time to mature, to get better, make a lot of money, and the titles are going to be there.
Yeah, the titles are going to be there. Maybe they're vacant. And what does a vacant title even mean? I say yes. Bring on Terence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz.
So you heard that little debate right there between Sergio Mora and Chris Mannix. You heard Sergio Mora. Sergio was saying, give him more time. He doesn't need that fight now. Let him get some time to get better. The translation is, man, if you get in the ring with Crawford, he is going to annihilate you. That's what he was saying on code. That was the politically correct way of saying, you will never be ready for Terence Crawford. If you guys notice the pattern in the sport of boxing, you'll notice the majority of fighters on the hope list are always being encouraged to avoid a tough challenge. We're always hearing these words, he's not ready, give him some time, etc., etc., etc. He said he's only 24, give him some time to get better. Apparently, Sergio Mora doesn't know that Devin Haney is 23. And Devin Haney was actually calling out Lomachenko when he was 20 years old. Not to mention, Mike Tyson was the heavyweight champion of the world when he was, 20 or 21? The baddest man on the planet at that age. So Sergio Mora, he was desperately trying to protect Ortiz because he knows Ortiz is not on the level of a Terence Crawford. Just like Sergio Mora was forced to be honest a couple weeks back when Ryan Garcia fought. Right after the fight, they asked him who would win, and you could tell he didn't want to really say it, but eventually he came out and he said it. He said, I'd have to still pick Gervonta for that fight. Virgil Ortiz is not ready for Terence Crawford, and he never will be. Once again, he went 9 rounds with a guy who had 2 knockouts on his record and was very slow in the ring, by the way. He's not ready for Terence Crawford, and he never will be. And this is the reason why you have other Mexican fighters like Jaime Munguia, who's still on the long waiting list, refusing to take a title shot because he's the #1 contender for Jamal Charlo's belt and Demetrius Andrade at 154. And yet he doesn't want to fight any of them. You had Canelo Alvarez, who had Jamal as his mandatory, and he had just been chased for, the last 7 years. He's been getting chased down by Andrade and Charlo. Ryan Garcia, we already know what time it is with him. He's been doing a whole lot of capping, and we're going to find out if he's serious when it comes to negotiations with Gervonta Tank Davis. Speaking of Gervonta, Sergio Mora really contradicted himself when he was talking about Gervonta about a week ago. Mora implied that he wasn't fighting anyone and he needs to fight someone. But when you look at the dichotomy, look at what he just said about Virgil Ortiz. When it came to Virgil Ortiz, you could fight whoever you want. What's the rush? You only 24. But then when it comes to Gervonta, who's facing better competition than Ortiz, by the way, undefeated fighters, not guys with 2 knockouts on their record. Gervonta Tank Davis is fighting guys that can knock your head off that are undefeated. You know, going back to Chris Mannix and Sergio Mora, it was rather refreshing and a surprise that the man that was checking Sergio Mora was Chris Mannix. Chris Mannix said to him, he said, "You are the worst. 4 years you've been here, and you never talk about a big mega fight that you want to watch." And the reason why he usually doesn't do that, because a lot of times the fight involves a black fighter, which he's not interested in those kind of fights. That's why he just said Virgil Ortiz, he doesn't have to rush into a Terence Crawford fight. Meanwhile, the majority of these black undefeated fighters, they've been rushing to get the big fights. From Shakur Stevenson to Devin Haney and even Terence Crawford, because remember, Terence Crawford had been calling out Errol Spence for 5 years. And when I say he was calling him out, he was calling him out to fight him next after all of his fights. It's so ironic when you think about it, because the very first time Errol Spence says that he wants to fight Terence Crawford next, now they're in serious negotiations for the very first time, which further proves that Crawford was already ready, or he was always ready. That's what that proves. So getting back to this whole Virgil Ortiz situation, like I said, yeah, he's not ready, and I truly believe that he's waiting for a vacant belt and, you know, hopefully fight against some no-name guy who ends up becoming the #1 contender or #2 contender just to fight him for that strap. That's very possible. But if Virgil Ortiz is not going to fight Errol Spence or Terence Crawford, because they both may move up to 154, then it makes sense for him to go after a Conor Benn, even though Conor's about to fight Chris Eubank. But I'm saying after that. And you got Jaron Ennis too. So, you know, and he's not mentioning Jaron Ennis' name. When they asked him, what do you want to do next? All he says is, oh, well, you know, right now Terence Crawford and Errol Spence are occupied, but there's someone who's not occupied, and that's Jaron Ennis. But clearly he wants no smoke with Jaron Ennis either. So I guess Sergio Mora, he didn't want Ortiz anywhere near Jaron Ennis either, because he didn't say that was a fight he wanted. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this one up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.